Hey guys, okay, so I want to use this week's video to kind of challenge you, to try and challenge the way you think about certain things. So let me explain. Last night I actually went to an industry forum. Now I'm sitting there in that event and I'm thinking to myself, why on earth have you got so many different people in the room? Like you're having to speak so many different languages at once. I mean, on one hand, you've got the industry professionals, or the technicians as they like to call it, and on the other hand, you've got the mum and dads or the homeowners. How can you possibly try and cater for both audiences the one event? This just does not make sense. Anyway, fast forward to the end of the event and they had this like Q&A style session and suddenly it all became clear. I went, you guys are not so stupid. You know exactly what you're doing here. See, they had two different extremes of questions coming up. On one hand, you had the questions that were clearly coming from the industry professionals. So those questions said things like, why on earth are you so fixated at the moment on the acceptable outcomes? It's a performance-based scheme. Why aren't you applying more of a performance methodology? On the other hand, or the other extreme, you had the questions which are very clearly coming from the homeowners or the mum and dads, if you'd like to call them that. So they're the questions that are going, why aren't you sticking to the rules? Why are you letting the developers run free, run rampant, all of that sort of stuff? And I just sat there, like I've always known this. But in that moment, it hit me in the face. And I just went, man, counsellor's a tough job. Like they're constantly dealing with so many different personalities, so many different needs, so many different competing interests. You can't possibly satisfy everyone. Like, how do you do it? So I walked out of there just going, yeah, okay, sure. It was a little bit frustrating that we had to learn about Planning 101 again, but it really was a good wake-up call and reminder just as to what town planning actually is and how it has to work and operate. Anyway, as we're walking out, I was having a chat to one of the designers that I know really, really well, because I'd picked that at least a couple of the questions were his. Anyway, as we're walking out, he's going, but they didn't answer my question. They didn't answer why they're doing this and why they're doing that. And I sat there and went, dude, were we not just in the same presentation? Like, did you not see what I saw? Like, I thought it was staring us in the face. It was bloody obvious. Like, come on. So I thought, okay, why don't I use this week's video to kind of spread the message, I guess you'd say. Just basically make people stop, think, and question how they approach certain things. I'm not saying I know it all, but I'd love to just challenge you, like I said at the beginning. So I want to sort of sit here and help you realize, and I don't want this to come across in a negative way at all and bitchy way, because that's not my intention. But at the end of the day, your perspective on things, the way you look at things is driven by a self-serving belief, need, desire, whatever word you want to use. Like in one way or another, the way you are approaching something is serving your needs. Council cannot focus on each individual person's needs. It is not possible. They would be, if they started focusing just on your needs as an example, they'd be accused of bribery. Like they can't do that. They've got to focus on the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So yes, sometimes that means it's not going to work to your advantage. So why am I saying all this? Because as I walked out, like I could see the frustration building with that client. I could see him getting really worked up about why they hadn't actually addressed what he was asking. And I just went, but hold on a sec, if you stop and you ask yourself, why are they doing this? Who is it serving? Why could they want to go down this path? It really helps to remove some of that frustration. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say council's perfect, and I always agree with what council says. There's definitely times in assessment processes where I go, what on earth are you talking about there? What on earth are you thinking? However, if you stop and you actually understand or give yourself the chance to understand why they might be making some decision, like they don't just pull it out of thin air. So why they're making that decision, number one, it reduces the frustration, calms you down, which everyone needs. But more importantly, it helps you come up with a more practical and workable solution. So if you know what the actual issue is, what's driving it, you can work around that. So, moral of the story, point I want to get across today is challenge yourself to ask, why do I want that? Like, what's driving it from your side? Then also understand, okay, what's driving it from council's side? Appreciate what their pressures are and why they're trying to do things. And then from that headspace, then try and come up with a solution that serves your needs. In the end of the day, we've all got to look out for ourselves. That's the way the world works. But you can do it in a way that's more collaborative, more positive. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. I think that's enough rant for me today. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.